After 16 years of mindlessly accepting the dead politics of Angela Merkel and the CDU, Germany was shifted into modern life by the traffic light coalition. Konrad and Megan smashed through the coalition contract, which lays down the bare foundations of a 21st century country. But let's see what happens next. Also, Megan takes a sugary hit of nostalgia with some southern comfort. Ahoy!
Hello everyone, it's time for another episode of Megan's Megacan. I'm here in Berlin, still very dark, very gloomy, but we're here. And Konrad Werner is here. Hello Konrad.
Hello.
How's it going?
Good.
Good.
How are you?
I'm alright.
Thanks for bringing this little tiny saucepan filled with speculatius and
It's like one of those saucepans that has a lid for it, so yeah, it's pretty good.
But it's nice because it's like it's half German goods and half English, British.
Yeah, just Cadbury's chocolate finger. Delicious.
Yeah, chocolate fingers, yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to London tomorrow.
Is that the test to see whether you're more English or German?
More you? Oh, I don't know. Yeah, I'm doing a little test.
Okay.
Yeah, UK snacks, hard to beat, but speculatius, also very difficult. Probably still not worth the whole Brexit thing, but...
No.
Booze?
Yes, please. What have you got?
Well, there's a new mega, or at least new to me.
Wow.
Do I say these things? I'm like, how do you think it would have escaped you? So I do want to hear talk about like different, because there are loads of different mega cans out there. And so when I say new mega, I'm not talking about whatever weird juice one or whatever's come out. What I'm talking about are like established liquor brands.
Right.
And what we have here, which I've not seen before, Southern Comfort.
Oh, yeah.
Do you ever drink Southern Comfort?
Not since I was about 17.
Well, interesting you should say that, because what I have here are the Megacan version of my misspent latter teenage years, where my drink was Southern Comfort, lemonade and lime.
So this is exactly what you used to drink?
Southern Comfort, lemonade and lime, yeah.
Wow. It's like they made it just for you.
So much like juice that I used to think that they hadn't put the booze into my cocktail sometimes. I'm like, are you sure you put it in? And they'd be like, yeah.
Okay, well, let's open them then and drink them. Cheers.
Cheers. Oh my God, the smell already. I didn't even fully opened it. Don't smell it. Oh my God, I feel, oh.
Yeah. Is your teenage years flooding back?
Mm-hmm. Like a really sweet lemonade, but that just catches at the roof of your mouth, so you know there's something in there.
You just can't know quite what it is. Something new.
It's not bad. It's very sweet.
It's quite pretty sweet, this. You can tell it's made for people who've just come out of childhood.
Yes, children's booze is what we're drinking here.
It's like that toothpaste that tastes of strawberries, but in booze form.
Yeah. Anyway, sure it'll be delicious in 4 sips time.
Yeah.
On an unrelated note, I was at the dentist today and I have to get quite a lot of fillings again.
Oh.
It must be the mega cans.
How many do you have?
Either age or just teeth or the megas.
You got to get quite a lot of fillings, but you didn't have them today.
3 more. I've had loads already, and I have to do like 3 or something more. All my teeth are going to be filled.
Okay.
And my wisdom teeth are coming in. Have to get those taken out.
Oh, right. Well,
what a fucking shit year this has been. I can't even go into it. Anyway.
Have you ever had a root canal?
No, don't want one.
You definitely don't.
I absolutely don't.
I had one once, and I have started brushing my teeth much more regularly since.
Do you know what I'm going to ask for my family for my Christmas present is one of those amazing like sonic toothbrushes that cost 150 or 200 euros. They're amazing. Some of my friends have them, and that's 100% what I'm going to do, because I can't keep going back to my lovely dentist. She's so nice. She's like not German. Meine Liebe, you like really? You're gonna have to come and visit me again, because this is
okay.
Sorry, that was a lot of waffle, everybody. And we've actually I've been saying 2021 is a shit year, but
yeah, we've got a lot to talk about.
And for once, I'm quite excited.
Well, something actually happened.
something new happened. Things happen all the time,
Yeah.
but it's always coronavirus, Nazis, and the CDU.
Yeah.
But what's not in the CDU?
The government.
That was odd syntax. What is the CDU not in? There we go.
Yesterday we had we expunged 16 years of CDU stagnation under Angela Merkel in one fell swoop with a 177-page coalition contract between the winning parties in the election, the SPD, the Greens, and the FDP. Who, after it was a bit short, actually, people thought the negotiations were going to be much more difficult, and now they've presented this contract. It contains quite a lot of things, and I just think we realise how much Merkel and the CDU has been holding us back.
I know, because I was like, oh, these things are never going to change, and
Yeah.
Oh no, fuck. This is how democracy is kind of supposed to work. People are like, you know what? We don't want this anymore. Let's do something different. And people are like, cool, you wanted something different? Here it fucking is.
Some new
We wrote a
things.
document. Also, I saw someone on Twitter talking about how the biggest sort of sign of change is that you can scan a QR code and then download the PDF, as opposed to
Yeah.
having to get it faxed to your local burger amt and picking it up,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, so quite a lot of things that a lot of people had been calling for years, and which people had been wondering about. So what did we made a list? What's
I've
on the
got a
list?
list, and I entitled the list "Sexy Promises"
Okay, good.
for two reasons. One, because they're kind of sexy. A lot of these things, I'm excited about them. Two, because we have to remember that these are promises. They're not. They still have to get through
Yeah.
Parliament at some
Yeah.
point. They actually you were explaining to me that it has to also be agreed by the parties as well.
So this is like a draft, essentially. The three parties now have to go to their own party members and structures and get
Yeah.
all these things voted through. So there are a couple of party conferences coming up in the next couple of weeks, and then they will present the final contract once everything's passed and there are no amendments, because obviously parties can also ask
Do you
for
think
amendments.
that's likely, or do we not know yet?
No.
That people are going to rumble, or they're all just like, yes, people are loving it on Twitter. Aye, pints.
Yeah, no,
That's
I don't
what
think
I'd be
they're not gonna reopen negotiations now. Anyway, but there's some formal stuff that has to happen first,
Okay.
and then they have to select who is going to take over which ministry. So all they've decided now is which parties are going to have which ministry, but not the actual people. Yeah, and then of course they have to implement all these promises, which will take years of drafting up laws, and then those have to pass through the parliamentary committees and all this other stuff. So it's not like it's all going to happen tomorrow, is what I'm saying.
No, but at least we're like, oh no, this is, and this is the other reason that I use the word promise. It's not because it is not set in stone yet, but also because we have to remember all of this stuff and
Yeah.
hold government to account for this,
Yeah.
because they've promised a lot of people a lot of things. And
So what have they promised?
so to start on our list, voting age, what's happening there?
It's being lowered to 16 for the Bundestag elections. That is quite a really big change, actually.
Yeah, I didn't have any of my older kids today, but yeah, I'll be speaking to some of them tomorrow.
Yeah. And that is just something that a lot of these things are things that the Greens and the FDP had wanted for quite a long time, and had brought in different, they brought in different draft laws in the parliament to try and get these things through, and they'd always been thwarted, specifically by the CDU, who just said, nah, not doing that. But they kind of presented these draft laws to try and get drum up support.
Of course,
Yeah.
the statistics, because there's obviously an element of what's in it for the parties here.
Oh,
The
yeah.
statistics of first-time voters voting for FDP and Greens were it was huge. Wasn't
Yeah.
it?
So that makes a lot of sense. So tactically, it makes a lot of sense for them to allow that.
But
go
also
on.
it's cool. I
No, it's
definitely know that 16-year-olds are very politically clued up, a lot of them, and some of them aren't. But then every other Tom, Dick or Harry over the age of 18 gets a vote, and they're not
Yeah.
Okay, so there's that. One that I'm super excited about, that I've talked about quite a lot on here, is the paragraph 219A, which is the paragraph in the German penal law book, which prohibits the advertising of abortions, which is
Yeah.
insane. And they changed it a little bit, but it was basically bullshit. So this is from kind of, I think the Nazi era, the law currently in Germany was like, you can perform abortions, but you can't really tell anyone that you can do them.
Yeah, you couldn't even put information on your website.
You could tell people, now, as of since the past few years, since they slightly revised it, you could say that they do abortions, but you couldn't say what Christina Haenel, who's the kind of figurehead of this movement, she's a abortion practitioner who said things like, I think she was in, where is she? Hesse. She's in Hesse. And she had like, bring socks, we do surgical abortions, or basic information. But that has gone. We're going to get rid of this.
Yeah.
Hooray!
Yeah. And
I mean, it's not gone yet, but...
I mean, it's just things like that. It's just mad that they even still existed. So, like in 2021.
This is the thing, and yeah. Anyway, weed.
Yes.
Give the people the news they want.
Yeah, weed finally is going to be legalized. So they're going to be it says licensed shops. So a bit like in certain states in America, which already has this.
Yeah.
So you have these licensed shops where you've got to be 18 to even go inside, and it's all kind of regulated. Like, it's not just going to be weed in Lidl and that.
I'm wondering. I was thinking like how, but that's maybe a topic for a later show. Is it going to look any different in Berlin? Like, I just feel like people are surprised. We're like, that's not actually legal to do that sitting at a bar at 8:00 in the evening. We're like, oh shit, yeah, right enough. Certain areas of Berlin, I guess, maybe more so than others.
Well, what will change? Because I went to Colorado a couple of years ago, and what was really noticeable was
massively stoned.
Well, I tried an edible for the first time, like a gummy bear, because I was just so intrigued, and it was pretty strong. I was not used to.
Yeah, the edibles are.
No, I was not used to that at all. And so I think there's going to be more like the kind of different options of weed. It's not just going to be what you smoke. It's going to be like it's going to be in different products, and there's going to be a lot more. It's going to be more commercialized. There's going to be a lot of paraphernalia that you can buy and everything. Because I've noticed that in the shop as well, that it was like a lot of all the different things that you can buy to go with it, all the accessories.
I guess it's just like having lots, head shops that are also actually just selling the drugs. Okay. What's else on our sexy promises list? There's a section that I saw quite a lot of people talking about on Twitter yesterday, which was really meant a lot to a lot of people. If they're promising that a child is now born to within a lesbian marriage, then both mothers automatically they're considered the mother.
Yeah.
Which again is like, I'm sorry, what? I'm sorry, what? Madness. And similar things for transgender people. This is huge. Like, this is big. This is very cool.
They want to scrap what they call the transsexual law, and that law said that only if you wanted to change your gender legally, you had to go through a court system, and you had to present the courts with psychological assessments, 2 separate independent psychological assessments, to say that you are allowed to change your gender legally, and you had to pay for it yourself, and it was like between 1,500 and 2,000 euros to do that.
Fuck you.
And for years and years and years, transsexual activists have been, campaigning against this law, and now they said that it should just be up to you, and you should just be able to report whatever gender you would like in the legally at the Standesamt, like everyone else.
Nice. I'm into that. Selbstbestimmung for alle. Yay.
But amazing. It's like a thing that you'd think it would have been in the law, but if it doesn't affect you don't think about it, do you?
No, exactly. We're very privileged to not have sort of.
And what else?
Cool. Well, this is one that I really the paragraph 219. That was when I first heard about it, because people obviously know that I'm like into abortion rights. People were like texting me, so I'm like, oh shit, have you seen the new thing? That's gone. But then one that I really wasn't expecting was, and I got like quite emotional in the staff room yesterday, they're proposing to allow dual citizenship, which is, I got a bit, probably because I'm preparing for another fucing German test. I'm like, what is it going to take?
Just, I mean, so this is, they're revamping the whole immigration law system. So what Germany really needs is a lot more immigrants, especially working immigrants, people who will come here and stay here and work, because there's like a shortage of skilled labor.
Yeah,
I've been talking about it for years and years and years,
and a surplus of neo-Nazis. So we need to
Yeah, and this is another thing that should have been done ages ago, but the CDU was so worried about losing voters that they kept blocking it, or any kind of reform like this. But they've basically made it much easier for immigrants to become German.
Yeah.
Much earlier. At the moment, you have to have been here at least 6 years, and you have to have learned German, and you have to have
it's 6 years plus
Yeah.
B1 German or B2 German,
Yeah.
like on the European Framework of Languages.
Yeah, and now they want to reduce that to 3 years.
That's great.
And also make it easier to keep your old nationality. You don't have to give up your old nationality, which is a huge deal for all kinds of communities.
Like, that is just, I mean, I'm speaking sort of like selfishly from my own thing, because I have so Germany won't allow, if you apply to be naturalized as a German citizen, you have to give up any non-EU passports, basically. You can have multiple EU ones, but because I have a different one, I was like, oh, wow. Can you imagine how excited I'd be if I got to vote? Unbelievable. But me aside, it doesn't matter to me, but people who've been here for kind of generations from other countries who don't necessarily want to give up being whatever else that's very important to them and their nationality, but would actually like to be enfranchised here. It's exciting on like a personal level. It's exciting, I think, on like, community level. If you think of, Turkish German communities, and I don't know, basically anyone who's here who doesn't comes from somewhere that's not EU. And then the fucking voting landscape, the people that will be able to vote potentially in the next general election, that is unbelievably exciting.
Yeah,
like the CDU can pick whoever the fuck they want to lead them, because they may never get in again. I can't. That is really, really fucking cool.
But the CDU has very much noticed this.
Well, then fuck off.
And in the first statement they put out yesterday, when the thing came out, was this coalition contract will lead to significantly more immigration and a rising number of asylum applications. And so that was like the main thing, and I can bet you this is going to be a heated political debate in the next few years. Because that they'll fix on that, because that's one thing that they know that their voters will pay attention to, and it's going to be like interesting, because it's going to be like, because the AfD is obviously going to get very noisy about this as well. So I don't know, but I think it's also just like things like this are really just necessary, because Germany needs more people.
That's the thing. Like we've
just like economically, we just need more people.
We've not got enough people staffing like major things, hospitals, the airports. No one, and obviously we don't just ask people to come in and be German to do like shit work, but it's a gesture, It's like, come over here, and then you can be part of the system. You can be part of the political system. Try and sort out whatever the fuck's going on at BER, because we've really fucked it. Someone help.
Yeah, I think it's brilliant. I think it's really good.
We live in Berlin, so we're looking at a little bit of a Berlin bubble, but it's also in lots of other places in Germany. People did how the vote would have gone had migrants, me, like other people, like people who've also lived here for years but still don't, how they had voted. And I just, I can taste it. It might just be the fact that I appear to be drinking alcoholic sugar syrup, literally syrup dissolved in.
I really can't taste any alcohol at all.
It's terrifying. I can feel the alcohol. Right. Maybe it's just the excitement. Anyway.
So that was a good one. Have you got any more? What's next?
So we've got minimum wage.
Yeah, so there's raising the minimum wage to €12 an hour, which has been the SPD position for a while.
And that's a rise of €2.50 an hour?
Yeah, so currently it's €9.60. I mean, what happens with the minimum wage, it's kind of pegged to inflation a little bit, so it rises anyway every couple of years. But now it's rising to €12. But that is actually the minimum that it should rise by. The Linke always wanted much more. I think 13, 14, not sure exactly, because it's all to do with securing people from old age poverty, which is becoming an increasing problem.
Yeah.
And sometime there was some kind of study saying that if you worked your whole life on the minimum wage, you would just be poor for when you wouldn't have enough to live on when you get a pension.
Yeah.
So they did actually do some study, I think the last government did, under the SPD Labour Ministry, and they found out that for someone to earn minimum wage for their whole life, they would need to actually have the minimum wage would have to be like $12.60. So it's actually below what the SPD's own study was.
So not great.
So it could be higher, but it's still a step in the right direction. It's still quite a lot higher than it is at the moment. But
okay. Yeah, because then we, on my list, come to the end of things that we were just like, yay, that looks good. And we get into like what I've called on my list hard stuff. That we're like, we don't necessarily at the moment have the detailed knowledge to talk about this. Hartz IV, the system of, well, it's not supposed to be called Hartz IV anymore. It's supposed to call it Arbeitslosengeld, so unemployment benefit. That is apparently changing. It's going to be called something else, but a lot of people are saying it's not going to make any difference.
They're just going to call it Bürgergeld.
But yeah, and I don't know. I haven't looked at it. Do you know if there's any change, or do we need to do that?
It's supposed to be like they're rebadging it.
Rebrand.
It's a rebrand. Yeah. And it's supposed to be from the coalition contract. I mean, there's not the things like this. There are not a lot of details in the coalition contract, but they're basically rebranding it to make. And they say it's going to be more tailored to the individual. It's not going to be like a basic, like everyone in the Hartz IV is like a basic amount of money, and this Bürgergeld is supposed to be more tailored to the individual rather, and it's supposed to like help you out a bit more. I don't know exactly what they're going to do.
The problem I think with Hartz, anyway, we can go into that maybe at a different time with things. Yeah. But
anyway, but that has been an issue that has been like bothering the SPD. This is like a thing that's for like the last 2 decades since they introduced it under the last SPD government. Yeah. Which was Schröder. They introduced Hartz IV, and then it caused a massive.
Which was a terrible. Like that is.
Yeah, this is like the ancient mythology of the left in Berlin.
Yeah,
in Germany.
Someone said to me the other day, they were like, well, the SPD with that created social inequality in Germany, and it's an interesting, or that kind of divide that allowed it to kind of really widen between the haves and the have-nots. But
and it caused a lot of people to leave the SPD and form the Linke Party.
Yeah. So people are unhappy about that. I want to really stay positive. It's the end of November of 2021. It's been a shit year. And I have to have all my teeth ripped out soon. So I want to stay positive, but there's a bit of like rumbling from climate activists and stuff I just saw briefly on Twitter yesterday. They're maybe not so
so the rest of the contract, I mean, there's a lot of. It's a contract, so it promises a lot of things, and there are a lot of good intentions. So on climate, they want to phase out coal by 2030. Ideally, they use the word ideally in the contract.
Well, if you put the word ideally in, or should instead of must, then you might as well. That is just a waste of ink.
Yeah, but that is still 8 years earlier than the current government, the Merkel's government had said. They also want to put 15 million electric cars on the roads by the same day, by 2030.
How about trains?
Yeah, and well, that's the other thing. Do you want to go to some bad news?
No, I don't.
Okay.
Will we do bad news another time when we've all had time to have a little look?
Okay. Well, yeah, okay. Anyway, there's that. And there's going to be a climate protection
now I'm just
ministry.
Worried about it. Just tell me about the trains. Tell me what's the bad news?
Well, the ministry.
I've heard this. It's okay, but this is a good segue into our who's getting what ministry.
Yeah. So the Green Party.
Should we do it like a guess? Because I only know some of them.
Okay, good.
I only know 2 bad ones. So you're about to say Ministry of Transport, which is a hugely important ministry.
Yeah, especially for the Greens. It was important because they want to do the Verkehrswende.
But of course, what have they gone and done?
They've allowed the FDP to get it.
Yeah. What do the FDP love? Being lads. What do lads love? Cars.
And they love not having a speed limit, which is also not in the...
God, these fucking speed limits.
It's the only country anywhere in the world
that
doesn't have a speed limit on the Autobahn.
It's not even German. We're supposed to, it's supposed to be Ordnung muss sein, not drive as fast as you want like a crazy person.
Yeah. Well, the car lobby is very powerful here.
They love their cars here.
So we're not going to get a speed limit on the Autobahn, and the Transport Ministry is going to be taken by the FDP, which means it does not bode well for Germany's train system. So, okay, Interior Ministry, who do you think is getting that?
Greens.
No, SPD.
Oh, SPD, I forgot about them. Sorry, yes, SPD.
You forgot?
Whatever.
There's a new construction industry ministry.
This is quite cool because they're going to talk about, we're not going to do the Mietendeckel, but we will do some vague things like allegedly build apartments for people who can't afford
they
them.
haven't. It's not been a very good coalition contract for renters. There's no commitment to any kind of more powerful rent controls, like nothing close to the rent cap. What they have agreed to do is extend the legislation that is currently in place, which is this rent break thing. But they haven't got any.
Yeah, but that's like the most toothless law ever, and it's anyway.
But they, so
construction, please.
So to address the housing crisis, they have introduced a new ministry called the Construction Ministry, which is going to be SPD, and they want to build 400,000 new apartments every year, of which only 100,000 are going to be like affordable, basically.
What?
But publicly funded. So that it's like
social housing.
Social housing. Only 100,000 of those 400,000 per year will be. I'm
sorry.
Housing.
The government are saying we will build 400,000 flats. Maybe I'm just stupid or drunk or really high on sugar. They're saying government, a government ministry is responsible for the building of 400,000 Wohnungen, like places to live every year.
Yeah.
But only 100,000 of those are going to be public housing. So what do they do with the other 300,000? Like, do they still...
Well, they just try and make it easier for property developers to build them.
Well, I feel very ignorant, but also I'm not sure that should be a thing. Like, sometimes I do feel stupid, and then also I'm just like, but this is insane. Okay, that's awful. And that's SPD.
That's SPD.
So, what other ones? Bildung, education, I already know. That's FDP. Disaster. Yeah. But Bildung, education in Germany is mainly state thing. Yeah. So that's fine. I don't even know, as I was saying to you earlier, like, I don't even know who the
it's kind of like
minister is for education.
It's at the federal level, it's called Education and Research. And I think that they fund scientific research through that ministry quite a lot as well. Okay, family. Who do you think gets the family ministry?
Oh, probably Greens. Are they giving them all the soft, lovey ones?
Yes, Greens.
Well, I mean, that's great for families, but fuck me, we really needed the Greens in everything. Let's be very clear.
Finance. Who do you think?
No, I don't want to hear this. It's going to be that man. He's going to be so smug. Oh God, him in his suits with no tie. I can't bear it. Is it Christian Lindner?
Yeah.
No.
He's going to be the finance minister.
Well, do you know what, Christian? On this one moment, like, to see a human just get what they've always dreamed of in some ways is lovely. And I can be in this one moment.
A moment
because
of
I'm pleased with
empathy
the rest of quite a lot of these things that we've just talked about. Enjoy.
Okay. So that is like probably the second most powerful role to have in Germany. And one of the things that is in it that they want to do is this thing about the debt break. Do you know about this? The debt. So they
wait. Is this something to do with the fact that Germany, like, historically doesn't borrow any money and is never in debt as a country?
Yeah.
And then Scholz was like, lads, there's a pandemic on. We're going to have to change this.
Yeah.
And they were like, borrowed some money.
Yeah. Taking on new debt. Yeah. And
Check me out.
So now in the new... I was very impressed.
Basic knowledge about the country in which I live, yeah.
So they want to... it says in the coalition contract that they want to reapply the debt break by 2023. But that
they give a specific date to. That they're like, oh no, it's grand, because
Well, that's putting a lot of faith in the pandemic being over by 2023, if you ask me. Which, as things are going at the moment,
well,
I wouldn't bet on
Lindner
it.
might have to make the jump there from economy growth to vaccination rate. That's going to be an interesting one.
Yeah.
Because there ain't no way out of this unless we all get vaxxed.
No.
And continue to get vaxxed with every new vaccine that comes out. So he's going to have to give up his, but our freedom.
Which brings us to the health ministry. Who do you think is getting that?
Oh, God. I bet they're all just sitting around being like not making eye contact with each other. Like, anyone for health ministry? Anyone at all?
No one can answer.
Is that also, that must be Greens.
Well, you'd think so.
Oh.
But no, it's going to be SPD.
SPD, okay.
Yeah, but until last weekend, there were rumours flying around, and people got very angry on Twitter, as they often do, that the FDP was going to get the health ministry, and everyone was like, anyone but the FDP, because that's the party that is most against mandatory vaccines and everything.
You can't be for the economy being fixed by 2023 and be anti-vaccine. You literally cannot do it.
So there's a lot of talk about who's going to be the health minister, and a lot of people want Karl Lauterbach. Do you know him?
Yes, get him in. That would make me delighted.
Yeah. So a lot of people want him.
I forget he's sort of SPD.
Yeah, he's an SPD MP, and so he's been really popular recently.
Please get that virologist in. Please, God. And then if I want one thing from 2021, it's just gonna be right, you've got to the end of January, lads. Get vaxxed.
Yeah. So there is some speculation that he will now get it because the SPD has got the health ministry. So
that would make me so happy. It would make me so happy. I am so drunk.
With Drosten as his right-hand man.
Oh, God.
But no, I don't know about that. But I just meant...
Oh, please. Poor Drosten. I can't even listen to his podcast anymore because I feel so much for the poor man. He must just be like, are you fucking kidding me on? What? I started this podcast to try and calm you people down because you were all panicking about this pandemic.
And now you're all sending me death threats.
You're death threatening me and fucking not being vaccinated, you absolute cunts.
Yeah.
All right, please. Lauterbach for health minister. I'm into it.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh. Okay. Any other ministries? Is that it? Is that all of them?
No, there's plenty more. There's also the Labour and Social Affairs. We talked about that.
Is that going to be SPD again? Or
yeah, Hubertus Heil, the same minister.
Okay.
We've got Food and Agriculture.
Ooh. I think that's interesting when we look at climate change and the fact that we're poisoning everything. Who's that?
Yeah,
Greens?
Well, yeah, Greens. Yeah. So there's two that were obviously going to be Greens. There was Food and Agriculture and Environment and Consumer Protection, which is also now those are two different green ministries. Yeah. And I think
any other kind of shocking ones, or is that the big hitters?
Justice is also FDP.
Ooh. Nah, they'll be all right there.
Okay.
The FDP in terms of things like diversity and representation, they're pretty cool on that.
Yeah.
It's just everything else I think that they're a bit wrong about because they think capitalism is a good idea. But things like justice, I think that's probably quite cool.
Okay. Well then, and that's it. And then we've mentioned all the others.
All right.
Oh, defence. We didn't mention defence.
Oh.
It doesn't really matter.
SPD?
Yeah, SPD, yeah. We didn't mention the foreign ministry.
Foreign ministry. And then the arms thing. That's because
okay, can mention that. Okay, good.
Because that's a good note to end on.
Yeah, so there was something in the
foreign ministry. Oh, who's the least? I always think that this is who's the least embarrassing to send abroad? Greens. It just should be the Greens.
It is the Greens, but we already know who it's going to be as well.
Is it Annalena Baerbock?
Yes.
Oh, well, she's nice.
Well, yeah, she is, yeah.
I mean, she's a bit of a neoliberal, but she's not going to make a holy show of herself.
No.
I mean, they'll tear apart in the media consistently.
It's going to be interesting because in the TV debates, she was the one that was when foreign policy came up. She was the one who was like really criticizing Russia and China and criticizing Nord Stream 2, and she wanted to scrap Nord Stream 2.
That's my girl.
And the other parties didn't want to scrap. Like the SPD does not want to scrap Nord Stream 2, and she said it's like so. It's going to be interesting to see what she does about that as foreign minister.
Okay, so we, in terms
if she
of
sticks to that, yeah.
What about, because the other party leader that we haven't talked about, where they're going to go. So we've got Olaf Scholz is going to be Chancellor. All I can see of him is those creepy like voting posters where he just like glared at me over his hands, staring at me, going, "Respect for dich." Terrifying, absolutely terrifying. Christian Lindner, God save our souls, is going to be finance minister. Annalena Baerbock, foreign minister.
Yeah. Oh, we didn't
Habeck?
mention. Oh, he's going to be economy and climate protection.
Oh, okay.
So that's one ministry, which is going to be economy, energy, and climate protection. It's going to cover it, which is probably the third most important ministry after finance.
Okay.
And he's also going to be vice chancellor. What about Habeck? Which is just I mean, I don't know if the vice chancellor really does anything, but it's good to have one.
Okay, something happens to the other one.
Yeah. And then I was going to mention there was a little thing about arms trading in the coalition contract, which is they want to introduce a new arms export control law, which a lot of those kind of activists have been calling for a long time, but obviously didn't actually say what was going to be in this law. But they did make a pledge not to send any weapons to any countries that are involved in the Yemen war, which is quite to mention that specifically, I think it's quite a big deal, because even though that was sort of what the government's position was, everyone knew they were always selling arms to Saudi Arabia, and now they've specifically said they won't. So that's quite good.
That's lovely. Again, something that is entirely mental that was happening before.
I mean, that's interesting because it's the same week that the US government announced a $650 billion arms deal with Saudi Arabia. That also happened this week.
That makes me feel physically sick.
I mean, that's not like in 1 year. That's over the next 10 years. But it's a lot of money to spend just to put that into context. Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to ask you in a second. First of all, how's your Mega? How are you done? Are you done?
Disgusting.
Yeah, it's
so
really sweet. But you can imagine me drinking this when I was 17, can't you?
Yeah, I could imagine me drinking this when I was 17.
I had to stop drinking the other really sweet thing, which is like Archer's peach schnapps and lemonade, because I drank a lot of Archer's peach schnapps and lemonade on the New Year's Eve when I was 17. Didn't even make it to midnight.
It's like fizzy ice cream or something. It's just so sweet.
It's a nightmare. I think it's the sweetest Megacan that I've had, and that is saying something. Oh, good Lord. So, positive. We want to stick with the positives.
Okay.
Favorite part of the coalition contract?
For me?
Yeah.
Oh, it would be the multinational thing.
Thank you. I was hoping you'd say that because that would be my other favorite, but I just wanted to read out a quotation to you that I think is brilliant, or I will translate it, because we talk a lot about the problems of Germany. We've talked about how the CDU are dicks, and they're kind of maybe on the way out, certainly for the next few years. And this government deals with one of the other problems, because in the coalition's contract, when they talk about extremism, which usually is talked about in German in like weird terms about like, well, you know, there's lots of extremism on different sides, and they just state it right in their first sentence about like what they're going to do about extremism, that like right-wing extremism is the biggest threat to our democracy. Full stop. And that makes me happy and hopeful, which is not often how I finish these podcasts. But yeah,
great.
Maybe everyone can go and have a little look at the contract, see how they feel. It's quite long, and it is in German, so there's that. But
it's got chapters. You know, it's not like
It does.
one
You
block of
can
text.
like
Choose the bits that you like.
flip to the highlights. Maybe someone can do a highlights TikTok or something.
Yeah.
Thank you very much
Thanks.
for filling in
I think
all
we,
of
think
the
we got through
gaps
everything.
in my knowledge there, Konrad, as always.
It was always a pleasure. The pleasure is all mine.
Don't necessarily, unless you have the sweetest tooth ever, go out and get Southern Comfort lemonade and lime. They are doing a Southern Comfort and cola. You could try that, but
I'm not
feel-
holding out much hope for that.
Sweet mother of God. And obviously I've finished it, but yeah.
Good.
Have a wonderful, wonderful weekend.
Yeah, it's Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving, Americans. If you're listening, we're recording this on Thanksgiving Day.
Yeah.
I hope it's
So
everything that you dreamed of.
So have a good Thanksgiving weekend if you're American.
God, I'm really drunk.
Bye.
Bye.